behalf of Line 1, I want to welcome you here to Tuvatu today to celebrate the long-term positive relationship between our company, government of Fiji, and of course, the most important, all the local landowners and residents. I thank you for that. My name is Wally Barakoff, you probably know that. I'm CEO of Line 1 Metals. For those who do not know me, I've been actively involved in performing responsible mining in Fiji for decades. I founded the Tuvatu project 17 years ago after I left Vatukoula. I reopened Vatukoula and then moved on. Amongst all the countries I've worked in throughout my career, Fiji is my most favorite. The Tuvatu project is world class. I stress, world class in the terms of its deposit as well as the skill sets. Again, skill sets are very important. I found great skill sets here in Fiji. Thank you, Vatukoula, but great skill set here. And I'm proud to say that the skill set here is what's kept us here. The skill sets and the work ethic of our Fijian workforce in our company and amongst my shareholders is legendary. I'm proud to say with great satisfaction the government of Fiji has extended and renewed our special mining lease for the Tuvatu Alkaline Gold Project for another 11 years. Thank you for that. Special thank goes to the Attorney-General, who was given his unconditional support for the development of this project since the very beginning, realizing the considerable benefits it would bring to Fiji. For over 17 years, he's played a key role in championing responsible mining developments and enabling Fiji to open herself to world markets, international investors. Personally, you may not know this, he signed our original mining lease over 5 years ago, showing great respect for our foreign shareholders and welcoming us, saying that Fiji was a good place for us to come and invest. Now, he's done it again, and of course, we're moving ahead with the mine. And I thank you for that. Also want to mention a big thank you to Prime Minister Bainimarama, whose leadership has led to economic reforms in the country since 2007 and has paved the way to enhance international investment and confidence in the country. I follow Prime Minister Bainimarama's lead of being environmentally responsible. I'm proud to say we take every measure here in Fiji to be environmentally responsible. And I hope that we lead the way for future mining in Fiji on that basis. This long-term lease extension sends a very clear message to the world that Fiji has and continues to be open to public markets which can access critical capital to enable responsible mining projects to be built. Responsible mining will enhance the local socioeconomic conditions for all of Fijians. We pride ourselves in joining the community here. We know we're guests of the landowners, and we will respect that at all times. A few other words. Line 1 is proud of being a responsible mining company in the country. As I said to the Prime Minister and the Attorney-General when I first began mining here, we have not flooded the market with expatriates. Almost all our staff here are local Fijians. That will continue. We continue our training programs, continue to employ local. And I'm very proud of that. I'd like generations to be here continuing in this valley. As I said earlier, there's an incredible talent pool in Fiji with diverse skills, not only mining, I stress not only mining, many other skills, accounting, legal, all of that. We have a great skill set in all those areas, but now we're getting a greater understanding of foreign investment and what Fiji shows to the rest of the world. And the Prime Minister has done a great job representing Fiji on the world stage, especially starting with COP23. We, as a company, as I said, we support job skill-based training, local infrastructure projects, and we have stimulated the economy and the supply chain. Our mining practices will be aligned with both national law and international best practices. In fact, I hope to better that. We are confident that Tuvatu will become a multi-million ounce deposit, such as Vatukola just north of here, and other large mines in the world. On behalf of Line 1 Metals and all our staff today who are here, I want to say thank you and welcome to this ceremony, being very much appreciated. I wish I could say in words, but I hope you understand. My heart is open. I'm so almost overwhelmed to have you here. And I thank you, the landowners. Thank you so much. Thank you. Without you, it wouldn't happen. Please understand that. You, the landowners, have made it possible. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Honorable Attorney General. I'm going to read the speech because I tried to make sure I caught everything, so forgive me. Minister Usamate, staff of the Ministry for Lands and Mineral Resources, many other dignitaries here, our employees, and local landowners and residents. Thank you again for coming out to Tuvatu today and seeing our project up front and personal. This is going to be Fiji's second large gold operating mine. We now have 6 active rigs where the mine is being constructed, and we have an exploration decline measuring over 1 kilometer in length, and have started a new production decline, which is well underway. We also have a gold lab, and I think all of our lab employees are up here today. It's operating 24/7 at levels that are threefold from what they were. The gold lab is the envy of the South Pacific. We are very pleased to have been granted this lease extension after the rigorous assessment process by the MRD that factored not only the geologic and economic potential of Tuvatu, but the environmental management plan we intend to undertake in our relationships with the local landowners and communities. This milestone demonstrates the tremendous support the Fiji government has for both Line 1 Metals and the mining industry as we continue our commitment to the development of this mine. As remarked by Wally, we have over 200 local people employed now and plan to increase to over 300 by mid-year next year. Job creation will have a direct supply chain multiplier effect in the communities, which will have a notable impact to help the Fijian economy continue to grow. Our mine will stimulate the local commerce by purchasing local supplies and materials wherever possible. Our lease fee payments will directly compensate local landowners for the use of their lands. We will continue our efforts to provide skills training to our workforce to ensure that local Fijians have opportunities to be gainfully employed and have the ability for not only domestic, but international labor mobility in the mining sector. I mean, I'll be honest, we hate losing our good employees, but I love seeing when they get an international job. Fijian miners are really well respected around the world. Every mine has challenges. This one will be no different, and nothing is easy. If we are to succeed here, we will need the continued cooperation and support of the government through the Mineral Resources Department, the landowners, our business partners, the communities, and especially our employees who've worked tirelessly throughout the weekend and literally all night to make this celebration as perfect as they can for all of you. So thank you to all of our employees for all that you've done for the last 48 hours. We've invested over $145 million and need to invest another $100 million before we will make our first revenue, anticipated late next year. I want to repeat this. Over $200 million invested, 0 revenue. Our first revenue won't happen until next year. This is a tough business, and it will take all of us to achieve. The main objective is to produce gold so the company can recover its cost and to begin to pay royalties to the government, which will flow to the LOUs through the Fair Share Act of 2018. Drilling results on this very property have shown tremendous potential of the Tuvatu Gold Project, rich in grade and mineralization at depth, promoting the view of the potential long life of this world-class deposit. On behalf of Lion One Metals, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the government of Fiji, our entire staff, the local landowners and residents and communities for getting us this far. There's a lot more to do. I want to compliment at the success of our ongoing partnership, which now extends to the future. We look forward to making Tuvatu into a national success story with true international promise. Thanks.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having us here. I'd like to acknowledge the Honourable Minister for Lands and Mineral Resources and also Minister for Infrastructure, Walter, Patrick. Good to see you again, Walter. I haven't seen you for a number of years. Great to see you. All the other stakeholders, and most importantly, as has been highlighted earlier on, the landowners. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not intend to make a long speech, but just to highlight a couple of points. As was highlighted earlier on by Patrick and Walter also, business such as mining requires a lot of upfront money. As has already been stated, they will be investing about $200 million altogether, just to get the first gold out of the ground. So in the mining industry, like a number of other industries, people who invest in the mine, they need to have long-term security. They need to know, for example, that there will be a long-term lease. Only then they can raise the money. Only then they can know, okay, if we put $200 million, we'll get some money back because we'll be able to start mining. It's very simple. In the same way, if somebody, for example, does not have a lease to build a house, they cannot go to the bank to borrow money because the bank is not going to lend them money because there's no lease. Now we have what we call Vakavanua arrangements. So people need to have a long-term lease. People talk about 99-year lease. So if I get a 99-year lease to build a house, the bank will very easily give me money. I can build a nice concrete home. So next time there's a cyclone, there's nothing to blow down, it will stay up. These people who build on Vakavanua land, they build not very solid homes because they know it's temporary. So in the same way with the mining industry, this new lease of life, literally the lease that has been extended, will now give them the confidence to be able to go out, get investors, invest and start getting the gold. And as you know, it was under the Fiji First government that today we now have what we call the sharing of royalties with the landowners. Under the law previously, the lease is given by the landowners. Anything underneath the ground belongs to the state, belongs to the government. Anything up in the air belongs to the government. So when planes fly through Fijian airspace, they have to pay us money. We give them a right to fly in our airspace. Same thing with the ground. Landowners will give the lease. Underneath the ground, the license is given by the Minister for Lands and Mineral Resources, his team. The director, I forget, Raymond who's here. I'd like to thank the director for Mineral Resources also for his efforts in terms of giving the lease. Now, previously, when the company, like in Vatukola, when they dig the gold and they get the gold, they have to pay the government royalty. Whatever percentage, the value of the gold, they pay royalty. And government gets that money that way. That's their revenue. Under the 2013 Constitution, there is a requirement that the government puts in place a law that we give a share of government's royalty to the landowners also. And we passed a law that was been referred to earlier on. We passed a law recently where 80% of what government gets goes to the landowners now. So apart from the lease money that you'll get for the land, you'll also now get 80% of the royalties. So it is in everybody's interest to make sure the mine does well. It's in everybody's interest to ensure that we give the investors certainty so they can invest more. When they invest more, they make more money, they get more gold, they pay more royalty, the landowners will get 80% of that royalty. That's how the system works. And that's what we facilitated. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think also we have to also look at what we call the multiplier effect. When they say they've invested $100 million, they'll maybe buy oil or fuel from Mobil or whichever. I see Mobil sign here, that's why I'm saying Mobil. But maybe they buy from Total or whichever company it is. So they also get money. They may go and hire excavators and diggers. Those companies get money. The drivers who work in those companies get money. They want to build a building, they go and buy stuff from hardware. When they buy stuff from hardware, the hardware companies get money. They pay more corporate tax. They pay VAT. We get the VAT. When we get the VAT, when we get the corporate tax, we can build more roads. We can build more bridges. We continue free education. We give tells, we give toppers. We connect more people with electricity, more people with water. That's how it works. That's why it's always very important to ensure that we have economic stability. We have financial stability. When you don't have economic stability, when you don't have governments that think long term, they don't think, if a government only thinks till tomorrow or next month or next year, it's not going to work. When you have a 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30-year plan, that's when people will feel confident to come and invest in Fiji. That's when the economy will move. And that's how what we call, we lift up people out of poverty. We get more and more people connected to all the everyday amenities and services. So that's critically important for us to understand, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why I'd like to also thank Line 1 and also Walter in particular for his tenacity, his endurance. I remember meeting him in the Prime Minister's office a number of years ago, and he did talk about Tuvatu then. And a lot of these projects can only get completed or reach this stage only when people persevere, when they keep at it, and only through perseverance. We also need to, in Fiji, understand that Fiji is a fantastic brand. Whenever you mention Fiji, you go overseas, people think of good things. They don't think negative things. They think of clean water, they think of good rugby players, they think of friendly people, they think of good environment, they think of a good brand. And it is in our interest to make sure that we continue with that brand. Whether it is playing rugby better, whether it is ensuring that when tourists come to Fiji, they feel welcome, and we give them a good experience, that our taxi drivers don't rip them off, we don't try and sell them a handicraft that's worth $10 for $100. All these things matter. In the same way, when investors come to Fiji, they have to ensure they follow our laws. We also have to ensure that we create efficiency, that we're efficient in our responses. We give responses quickly, that we think about the long-term goals. We think about the long-term investment that they're going to make in Fiji and how we overall, all of us as Fijians, will benefit from it. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again to Line 1. Thank you to the Minister and his team from Lands and Mineral Resources. Everybody is here, all the different partners with Line 1. And of course to the landowners. I think there's enormous opportunities for this part of Fiji now. Once the gold starts production, when the government gets more money, you get more money, we'll be able to uplift this area. We can already see there's so much potential here. There's a number of things that we can do. In the same way, when more and more people work here, as you know, government, for example, at the moment has, if any landowning unit wants to subdivide their land, we actually subdivide it for you. We pay for the subdivision. As they will get more workers, their people may want to have their own block of land. They want to lease the land. You may want to do a residential lease. If you come to us and say, look, we've got 20 acres of land, we want to subdivide it as residential lease, you got all the approvals from the Matangali, 60% of the landowning unit has agreed, we can actually fund it. We're doing that already in Yandua, in Warembetia, in Vunda, in Sawani, in Lawaki, a number of other places. We're doing one in Tailevu. And all the landowners will then themselves, when they sell the lease, they get the money directly for themselves. And the reason why government is doing it, because we want you to continue to be the landowners, but also get cash rich. And when you become cash rich, you feel comfortable. When you lease the land for 99 years, people can lease it. They can then go and build proper homes. When they construct homes, a lot more economic activity takes place. They need somebody to dig the foundation, need somebody to lay the bricks, they need somebody to do the plaster, the joiner, the carpenter, people put up the roof, etc. It creates economic activity, and in that way, everybody becomes prosperous. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your presence, and I wish you a very good morning. Naka, thank you.